Hello, folks. Welcome back to the channel. And today, I'm going to do a SEC conference prediction for 2023. Not a team prediction, a conference prediction. What I mean by that is, I'm going to try to predict where teams are going to finish in 2023 in the regular season. Now, I'm not saying in any way that these teams are going to win the conference, or in this case, they're going to win the division and represent that division for the SEC, because this is the last year for divisions in the SEC. Because once Oklahoma and Texas enter the SEC next year, they're scrapping divisions and just doing a free for all type of schedule in 2024. But, anyways, what I mean by this is no way of saying that this team is going to win the conference, because there's a conference game to be played. But in this case, you're going to have one team represent one division, the other represent the other division. So they're going to meet up for the conference championship to play for the SEC title. So, anyways, let's predict where these teams are going to finish. Coming in at last in the SEC East is Vanderbilt. Once again, Vanderbilt hasn't been relevant since James Franklin was coaching there. So another year, another SEC paycheck for Vanderbilt. Coming in at sixth in the SEC East is going to be Florida. I think Florida this year is going to be much worse off on offense. They're going to be probably a little bit better on defense, but what made Florida special last year was Anthony Richardson, and Anthony Richardson isn't at Florida anymore. He's playing for the Indianapolis Colts. So I think Florida is going to be struggling to just make a bowl game this year. And coming in at fifth for the SEC East is Missouri. Now, Missouri is a typical 6-6 team usually every year, and I think Missouri is just going to be just a little bit better than Florida this year. Maybe another 6-6 season or a 7-5 season. So I do think Missouri ends up fifth in the SEC East. Coming in fourth for the SEC East is going to be Kentucky. I think Kentucky this year, despite getting Devin Leary from NC State, their offensive production, I think, is going to fall just a little bit for Kentucky. Yeah. It's not going to be a terrible season for Kentucky, but I don't think they're going to be hitting 9-10 wins like they did a couple of years ago. Coming in at third in the division is going to be South Carolina. Now, South Carolina's going to have a ton of questions to answer on offense, but I think they're going to at least finish third in the division. Maybe no worse than fourth in the division. I don't think they're going to be awful this year. I think South Carolina's going to finish third in the division this year. Coming in second for the SEC East is going to be Tennessee. I think Tennessee this year is going to have another great season this year, just like last year. I unfortunately don't see them winning the division, but I think they're going to come close to winning the division this year. And the winner of the SEC East this year, I'm predicting, is going to be Georgia. Georgia's schedule lines up very nicely for them to go undefeated going into the SEC championship game. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it. Coming in at last for the SEC West this year is going to be Mississippi State. Now, I think Mississippi State this year is going to be in a rebuild year, as like I've said many times before. We lost Mike Leach and his unfortunate passing. And it's going to be a bit of a culture change for Mississippi State, from going from an air raid offense to a ground and pound attack. What the defensive coordinator, which got promoted to head coach, is wanting to do with Mississippi State. So, last place in the West goes to Mississippi State. Coming in at sixth for the SEC West is going to be Auburn. Now, Auburn's going to be under a first-year head coach, and I do think Hugh Freeze is going to be able to turn it around at Auburn, and I think this year Auburn's going to be better than they were last year. I just don't think Hugh Freeze has the pieces yet to run the offense he wants to run like he did at Liberty and Ole Miss previously. Plus, The difference between this team and the next team above it is the schedule for Auburn. So Auburn goes to sixth in the SEC West. Coming in at number 5 or fifth in the SEC West is going to be Arkansas. I think Arkansas and Auburn are going to be on a similar level this year. Uh, However, what separates Arkansas from Auburn is Arkansas is going to have a little bit better schedule in the SEC East. Arkansas this year is going to have to face Florida and Missouri from the East versus Auburn. They're going to have to face Vanderbilt and Georgia from the East. So that's kind of what separates them two. And plus having the Auburn game for Arkansas at home helps out too. So Arkansas is going to be finishing 5th place. Coming in at 4th place in the SEC West is going to be Texas A&M. Texas A&M last year finished at 5-7. I think this year they're going to be improved on the record wise. I don't know how much improved, and I don't think they're going to be good enough to win the SEC West. As long as Jimbo's running the show, I don't think they're going to be able to win the West. Now the question is, will this performance be good enough to keep Jimbo's job at Texas A&M or not? That's going to be the real question after the end of 2023. Coming in at 3rd in the SEC West is Ole Miss. The reason I have Ole Miss over Texas A&M, I think they're both going to be on the same level this year for different reasons, is that for some reason Texas A&M, ever since Lane Kiffin has gotten to Ole Miss, has struggled to beat Ole Miss, or Texas A&M has struggled to beat Ole Miss. Outside of the COVID year, I think Texas A&M has not been able to beat Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. So I think Ole Miss will finish 3rd in the division this year. Coming in at 2nd for the SEC West is Alabama. Now, the main reason I have them at 2nd is because of the big questions on offense. Well, first of all, with the coaching staff, they got rid of both coordinators, which is a good thing or a bad thing, depending on who you ask. But what sticks out to me as the red flags is that once the coaching staff got there and they played the spring game, they realized that both the quarterbacks that were on the team sucked. So they brought in a 3rd quarterback in Tyler Buchner from Notre Dame, which, by the way, the offensive coordinator came from Notre Dame. So, you take that as you will. There's just too many questions that have to be answered for Alabama. I'm not questioning Nick Saban's coaching ability. I'm just saying we just don't know with Alabama what we're going to see in 2023. Plus, the receivers are not all that great. You're not going to have a Jamison Williams or a Henry Ruggs walking through Alabama this year. So who's going to step up for Alabama on the receiver position? And the winner of the SEC West this year is, I think, going to be LSU. I think, well, with LSU, there's a ton of talent returning back for them. And plus, what LSU's got going for them is they have probably the 2 best defensive players not in Georgia uniforms in the SEC and maybe even the country. And with Harold Perkins and what's his name? Basquin or whatever his name is. Anyways, those guys are going to be rocking and rolling for another year. So I think LSU is going to win SEC West and get a rematch with Georgia this year in the SEC title game in Atlanta. So that's going to wrap up the SEC conference prediction for 2023. As you can see, according to prediction, I'm predicting Georgia and LSU to meet up again in the SEC championship for a rematch. If you like the content, go ahead and give the video a like. If you want more content from me or more daily content from me, consider subscribing to the channel as I post daily or at least every other day. I try to post at least once a day on the channel. If not, I'll make up with it on the next day. So anyways, thank y'all for watching the video and spending your valuable time with me. I'll see y'all next time.